It's the boy, Bubba, Lutz, coming through. Hella clutch, flawless, can't be touched. It's your boy, Bubba, Lutz. Yeah, I need that hot take. I need the truth and everything that is not fake. So tell me who's the GOAT, I'll tell you who's not great. And which team always make you go, I wait. Yeah, hold on, tell me who's your top.
Welcome back, Bubba Bunch, to another edition of Small Talk. And I think it's time to talk about the obvious topic of Deshaun Watson. Now, officially, he will be suspended for 11 games and fined $5 million. According to the NFL, they've reached a settlement, and now he is set to return in Week 13 of the NFL season against the Houston Texans, his former team. So making his debut with the Cleveland Browns. This news came out today as I'm recording this. And it's going to be hard to not talk about this where you haven't heard an opinion before or not talked about anything that's been talked about already. It's going to be one of those things to where it's never going to be good enough, you know? Like the suspension, the fine, the lawsuits, or even just talking about it and what should have been, what could have been, that's always going to keep going. And I think this will follow him for at least the rest of the year. And I would probably say for the rest of his career. I think even in about 5 to 6 years, whether or not he is playing or not, whether he is an MVP quarterback, a star quarterback anymore, it's just going to follow him for the rest of his life, because this is not just a one-time thing. This is something that occurred multiple times, and it's probably a lot worse than we may think. We don't know all the evidence. This is all alleged, and it's even more confusing than it was at the beginning, because we have apologies from Deshaun Watson. And then now he's saying, well, the only reason I apologize is because everyone got triggered. But he's still stating that he's innocent. The Cleveland Browns are still stating that he is innocent in all of these actions. Yet there are 26 lawsuits, most of them settled. And we'll probably never know the true facts about what happened, or whether or not it's over. You know, there could be more lawsuits in the future. I doubt it, considering that this man only paid $5 million of his $240 million guaranteed contract. I love football. I love watching football. Football is my life when it comes to this podcast, to my hobby, my happiness, really. I've grown up thinking that football was everything, right? And I may not necessarily play football to a high level, or never really did play football at a normal level than most athletes. But learning the game, knowing the game, and just enjoying it, watching it, I owe a lot of who I am today because of football. And the NFL is obviously going to be the main proprietor to me enjoying that, right? Like, they are the monopoly. They are the McDonald's. They are the Walmart, you know, like they are the Amazon of sports. The amount of money that goes into the NFL and how much they earn, how much is just, it's incredible, right? I enjoy this game. I enjoy the sport, but it's stuff like this to where it may tune a lot of people out, and I don't disagree with them. I don't want. I can see that side of the playing field of how stuff like this and how players, people, you know, grown men get away with things like this. And I don't know all the facts. You know, this is all alleged according to documents and statements and all that. Listen, man, in my mind, in my heart, if a man is accused at least 26 times of doing similar activities, similar behaviors, predator-like behaviors, and you keep telling me that he's innocent, I'm not going to believe you. And, Deshaun Watson's not going to lose any sleep based on my opinion or a lot of the opinions that is going on in national television. It's just not going to happen, right? He's going to live his life. He's going to focus on football, and he's just going to go about his day. The first preseason game, the reaction from Jacksonville and their fans to when Deshaun Watson hit the field, yes, that is going to be the new norm for Deshaun Watson. Will he get used to that? I don't know. I bet he's tuned out a lot of things, and he's been told by many people that it's just like, hey, just focus on yourself, right? And for the most part, he's just gonna play football now, Like, he probably won't ever try anything like this ever again because he knows the circumstances. He knows that if he got almost caught once, he'll definitely get caught a second time. And people are going to be more careful when it comes to, taking a job of massaging Deshaun Watson and whether or not he even gets one anymore. That's not by the training staff in Cleveland. You think that it's over, right? For that part of his life and that certain behavior, it's probably going to be gone now based on the circumstances. But let me get back to the main thing here is the fact that this league allows players to get away with certain things. Hands down, 11 games is not enough. $5 million is nowhere near enough. And I can't tell you exactly how long, how much it takes for it to be okay, for it to be enough when it comes to a suspension, a fine. That's just how the NFL is. The NFL is going to put a number on it, a game amount, a dollar amount, and then we're just going to move on. We're going to just continue about our day. There's going to be another case of domestic violence. There's going to be another case of sexual misconduct. There's going to be some criminal activities happening with NFL athletes. It's going to happen. Clearly, they have priorities on other things. And there is no better example to say that the NFL is more focused on getting their money and getting the most money that they can for the future and getting past the bullshit than this case right here. Listen, Tom Brady Deflategate, 4 games. That was nothing. Like that meant nothing in the grand scheme of things to where we look back and we say, was it even worth a suspension, right? We look at Ezekiel Elliott, 6 games for domestic violence when he wasn't even guilty of anything and there was not enough evidence to prove that he deserved a 6-game suspension. Calvin Ridley, gambling on not a game that he was participating in, but just a game in the NFL. I guarantee you that there have been players that have gambled on NFL games, whether or not they played in them or it's just other teams. They have gambled before and they just didn't get caught. Calvin Ridley, who has been silent, who has just kept his head down for the most part, at least from what's shown in the media and from the Atlanta Falcons. This is a man who he just does great things on the field, and you don't really hear about him outside of the field. He gets suspended a full year for gambling. And the thing about, look, I'm not even going to speak about Deshaun Watson because I just don't want to talk about a man who was accused of this behavior, this misconduct, this assault, allegedly, for that amount of times, and for him to be like, I'm not even sorry. I'm sorry for you getting triggered, but I'm not sorry for what happened. I'm innocent. And this is a man who doesn't even want to prove that he's innocent. He literally just said, let's just settle everything. Let's get it over with and let me go play football. That's not the right thing to do. The right thing to do morally is to say, I did nothing wrong, and I will do everything in my power to show that I did nothing wrong. If, we think about like Brian Flores. Brian Flores is trying to do right. Trying to do the right thing by saying, there's a lot of bad things that happen in Miami. And if that means that I have to sue the NFL to make sure my name's good and to do right by others, then that's what we got to do. I guess that meant that he can get hired by the NFL and by a certain team, and we still have a lawsuit going on. But, the idea of Brian Flores saying, I'm trying to do the right thing here. I didn't want to tank. I didn't want to make these decisions. I didn't want to tamper. Yet they forced me to do that. They forced me in situations to where I had to do it, but I didn't want to do it. So I don't want to be a part of this organization anymore. I don't want to be a part of this league that's very discriminatory, that's borderline like offensive to the color of my skin and the people in the future. They deserve better. They will deserve better. They will get better because of my actions. And if that means suing the big boys, suing the monopoly, that's what I got to do. Deshaun Watson literally said, I get it over with. I'm innocent, and I don't care what the media says. All these people are lying. Let me go play football. By no means should your main focus be football. So when it comes to Deshaun Watson, the Cleveland Browns organization, it's shameful. It really is shameful. Thinking that this team, and we'll get to the Haslam family in a second, but the NFL came out and said, once the 6-game suspension was put out by the judge, saying they put their foot down. They said, hey, no, we're going to appeal that because we think he deserves more. We think he should be punished even more. There should be a fine to this. There should be more games. They want to lay down the law. Roger Goodell did not necessarily want to be a part of that. He said, I'm going to let other people take care of it, right? That in itself is pretty humiliating, at least in my opinion, because as the commissioner of the NFL, your image is on the line here. You're putting out a sexual predator on the field as a number one quarterback in a big organization like the Cleveland Browns. And you don't want to be a part of it. You don't want to be involved in this. But the NFL they gave this idea that they're going to lay down the law, that this is unacceptable, and that Deshaun Watson deserves to be punished. We got to lay down the law here. We got to put our foot down, and we got to make people understand that this is a very serious issue, that sexual misconduct and sexual assault is no laughing matter. Just tack on another 5 games and give him $5 million and we're good. Excuse me? Excuse me. What is 5 more games going to do? What is $5 million going to do? Think about it, guys. $5 million. This man literally just signed a contract over $240 million. $240 million guaranteed. So now you subtract $5 million from that. What is that, like 3%, 5% of his contract? And they took this long to get the suspension done So really, this doesn't affect his guaranteed money at all. What is $5 million going to do? Think about the settlements that he had. He probably paid more in the settlements that he did to the NFL. Well, technically, he's going to pay that to charity. $5 million is nothing to this guy right now. And let's say 2 or 3 years down the line, he's on good behavior and he starts to be likable again. I don't know if brands are going to take the chance on Deshaun Watson, but let's say he takes some ads and some marketing deals, whatever, some advertisements and branding. And he probably makes that money back in a few paychecks. This doesn't affect him at all. What is 11 games going to do? This dude just sat out an entire season because he just didn't want to play with the Texans. You think that waiting 11 more games is going to do anything for him? He's 26. 26 years old. That is ridiculous. Of course we're going to compare it to Calvin Ridley because the thing that we're just going to naturally do as people is say, so gambling is worse than sexual assault. That's what we're saying here. And I get it. It's just going to be different circumstances when it comes to the NFL, and we don't know all the schematics about what goes into a suspension amount and fines or whatever. But I think morally, this has never been about the women involved. I think that's the main problem here, is that we're not focusing on the victims. We're not focusing on those affected, their friends, their families, the children of these women, the spouses of these women, or the mothers, the fathers. They've had to go through this trauma and had to watch a grown man, assault their daughters, their sisters, whatever, allegedly. And they just get to see this man on the field in week 13. They see him play in preseason last week. How are you okay with that as a league to say that, yeah, we think this is enough based on our research, based on our investigations, and based on our appeal, we think that 11 games is enough. That's barely half a season. You gave this idea that you were going to make a statement, make a decision with Deshaun Watson that no matter how good you are as a football player, this could have been your chance to say, it doesn't matter how good of a football player you are. You can be a top 5 quarterback in this league like Deshaun Watson. It doesn't matter what you do on the field. You have ruined the reputation of this league, have affected many lives negatively, and you as a person don't deserve the fame, the fortune, this attention, the money deals, the advertisements, the treatment in Cleveland as far as you get all these remedies of training camp, rehabilitation, recovery, all that stuff, right? You don't deserve that based on your behavior outside of here. This should be a league of professional men athletes, the best of the best in the world at what they do, but they also represent role models. They represent the community and what they do in volunteer work. Think about the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame is supposed to be the greatest players to ever play the game and absolutely wonderful people. Walter Payton Man of the Year award. We literally have an award to where we say these are the best men on and off the field. What they do off the field with the community, with all the people that they help, and the charities, the donations, all that stuff. They are wonderful human beings, and they're also just really good at football. We praise those people. We praise those athletes. Yet we go on the opposite side of the spectrum and we say, yeah, he might be a shitty person, but he's also great at football, so we'll punish him, we'll slap on the wrist, but hey, he'll get to play with all the rest of those guys. That's what we're implying here, that Deshaun Watson deserves that second chance, along with those great men, along with the Myles Garretts, the Zach Martins, the J.J. Watts, like he deserves to be in that conversation too. Yeah, he got sued 26 times for sexual misconduct, but you know what? He knows how to sling a ball. That's what we're letting him do. That's so embarrassing as a league. You laid down the law, you put your foot down, and that's 11 games, $5 million. While Calvin Ridley, so Jimmy Haslam, owner of the Cleveland Browns, and Dee Haslam as well, come out in a press conference earlier today about the suspension. And I guess the quote of the day coming out of that press conference is Jimmy Haslam saying, he's 26, he's young, and he's a great quarterback. He deserves a second chance. I'm always stingy when it comes to that excuse, that cliche of everybody deserves a second chance, because absolutely in life, everybody deserves a second chance. Everybody deserves a chance, right? Deshaun Watson got his chance being the Clemson quarterback, winning national championships, coming into the league, having a chance to be a star quarterback. He's had that opportunity, okay? He deserves a second chance whenever the first misconduct happened. And he realized that maybe it might be my behavior when I'm getting a massage isn't comfortable to a lot of people. And it's not right to make people uncomfortable like that. I should be better. Second massage, I did it again. I'm very sorry. And you know what? Please give me another chance. But after this, I'm done. 26. There's more. There's more accusations out there. There's more statements. There's more women out there. And yet we say now he deserves a second chance. So how come Calvin really doesn't deserve a second chance? This man has done nothing wrong in this league. He's been a great quarterback at Alabama, or a great wide receiver in Alabama. He's been a great wide receiver in Atlanta. This man has done nothing wrong. But publicly, he has been silent. Yet he gambles on one game, and immediately you say, suspend that man for the rest of the year. He does not get to play whatsoever. But Deshaun Watson deserves a second chance, right? After 26 lawsuits, he deserves a second chance. That's just unacceptable. That just doesn't make sense to me. And it will never make sense to me. So here's where I'll finish it off, okay? The NFL will not lose anything from this. We're going to wake up in a month and say, all right, the NFL season's starting. Let's just focus on that. We're tunnel vision on the NFL season. Once Buffalo and Kansas City hit the field, it's just Deshaun who, right? We're just going to go about 3 months of the NFL season without even talking about Deshaun Watson. You know, unless you're Cleveland, no one's talking about Deshaun Watson. And then once week 13 happens, guess what? That game is going to probably be the most watched game of the season. Most likely the most watched game of the season, definitely for that week, probably for the month, but it definitely has a chance to be the most watched game in the season. Because seeing that man on the field makes the NFL money. Advertisements. They're not going to directly be involved in Deshaun Watson talk, but if they get to play a commercial, if they get to sponsor the game, have a sponsor during the game, they are going to make a lot of money for the NFL. And they get their brand out there. Why? Because people are watching. Not because of their brand or the football game. It's because of Deshaun Watson. So they make money as well. And Deshaun Watson, he's going to get a check for that game. So who's really being punished here? Who's really being punished? No one. Absolutely no one. This punishment means nothing to Deshaun Watson. He now gets to go back to his normal self. And he gets a slap on the wrist. You know? Greg Hardy. Get a slap on the wrist by the NFL. Goes and signs with the UFC. Gets paid for punching people when he was accused of punching a woman. Like, Henry Ruggs will never play in the NFL ever again. Hypothetically speaking, if you're saying that Deshaun Watson is able to do all these different things, I know they're not the same exact thing because Henry Ruggs did have a fatal accident last year. But Deshaun Watson, all of this criminal activity, all of this misconduct, this behavior, 11 games. For Henry Ruggs, let's say he does get into that car accident and unfortunately he doesn't, or I shouldn't say it like that. Let's say that no one passed away in that accident. Fortunately, no one would. The circumstances are different, and condolences to the families affected in that accident. But, let's say he gets into that accident. There's, major injuries, but no fatalities. And he comes out clean. He does have punishment by the justice system, whatever. He settles. Yeah, I'm just babbling on here, but I think my main point here is if he had the opportunity to play in the NFL again by not going to jail, he most likely would have been playing. He probably would have gotten a second chance because a team would have definitely said that statement, let's give this man a second chance, and, because he's a great player, that's why we brought him in. We're just bringing in Deshaun Watson because he's a great player. And if your statement during that press conference, Jimmy did not mention anything about, his empathy for the women involved. D. Haslam had to mention that after the first statement by Jimmy. Jimmy Haslam just talked about the quarterback. He didn't talk about the man. And what's sad is that the NFL looks at it the same way. They're looking at the quarterback, Deshaun Watson. They're not looking at the man. If this was not about money, if number one priority was not money, Deshaun Watson would not be playing in this league. But he is, because he's going to make him a lot of fucking money in week 13. But if Roger Goodell wants to step back and say, I'm going to let others take care of this, that you're a spineless coward. Spineless coward. Because this is not just about the women involved. This is about women in general. This is about people, humans in general. You should be able to look at the higher ups, the leaders of economy, of marketing, whatever. And you should look at Roger Goodell and you say that's a good example of a man in charge. That's a man who doesn't care. Jimmy Haslam, D. Haslam, those are people that don't care. Deshaun Watson is a man who doesn't care. Spineless cowards. Absolutely shameful for what's been occurring. That is ridiculous that this man is able to see a football field again and get paid over $200 million to do so. But he deserves a second chance, right? That's what he deserves. So be it. That's going to do it for this episode of Small Talk. I hope you guys enjoyed listening, watching. Make sure to support wherever you're listening from. And check out my TikToks. They've been doing really well lately. I appreciate all the support there. I post daily most of the time. So check me out on there. And we're going to come back with some more podcasts, Small Talk, Bubble Ut Sports podcasts in the future now with football coming up. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time on Small Talk.